He's chef partner of Paloma in Stamford, Connecticut, and
was it?
Johnny Sanchez in Baltimore, Maryland, and New Orleans, Louisiana. He's also co-star of Chopped on Food Network and the host of the cooking channel's Taco Trip. Aarón Sanchez.
How y'all doing? I want to make sure everyone can hear me. What a beautiful group of people y'all are. Are you everyone having a good time so far? I hope so. There's nothing more exciting than see young people smiling. Let me tell you, as a dad, I can tell you, it gives you energy, it gives you strength. So I'm so stoked to see all the families out here having a good time. And it's really one of those moments where you feel like, wow, we live in the best country ever. And this is a really great thing. And I hope everybody can sort of embrace this idea of fun, fitness, music, all these expressions of art that fuel the soul. These things fuel the soul. So we're talking about things that are creative, right? And that for me is why I started cooking. I come from a family of chefs and home cooks, all right? My mom had a restaurant for 30 years in New York City, so I grew up in that environment. My grandmother, how many people like their grandma's food? Right? Awesome. You know why grandma's food's always the best? Because grandmas are never in a rush, right? You ever see your grandmother like start running around? No, she's cool. So those beans and that soup has all day to simmer on that stove, and all those flavors come together and get happy. You know what I mean? And that's how I learned to cook, right on the side of my grandma and my mom. So knowing the traditions of our heritage through food and how to commune as a family, that was the most important lessons that I learned from cooking. And then now I brought it into my professional life. And whether I do it on TV or I do it at the restaurant, the whole idea is making people happy. I'm in the happy business. I don't know about y'all, I'm not in the food business. I want smiles, I want kids running around our restaurants. You know, I want the parents relaxing. That's what it's all about, all right? All right, so let's talk a little bit about a salad, all right? This idea of eating Latin or Mexican style food, people think it's heavy, right? Like lots of cheese and tons of rice and beans and it's heavy. Actually not. The traditional stuff is really light and utilizing fresh ingredients and citrus and chilies and all these things that were inherent when you came to the, back in the day in the original New World, right? So we're talking about, you know, the American Indians, they had corn, they had squash, they had chilies, they had, you know, all these things that were inherent. And then all the Europeans came, they brought all these wonderful other ingredients, right? Like pork and olive oil and all these things. And then that was one of the first fusion cuisines, right? Because now you have the food of Europe and the food of the New World, right? And now it came together, and that's kind of a quick definition of Latin food, right? Okay, so we're gonna make quinoa, right? Quinoa, you make sort of like if you were making a rice. So usually it's 2-to-1 liquid, right? You can use chicken stock, you can use water, vegetable stock if you want to keep it 100% vegetarian. So I have some water here that's boiling, a little bit of salt. Always season your liquid, right? No big deal. Here I have quinoa. The quinoa is awesome. You can get it in many different colors. There's red quinoa, there's black quinoa, there's white quinoa. And what this is it's an Incan super grain, all right? So if you go to Peru and Ecuador, the indigenous people of that have been eating this stuff for thousands of years. Think couscous, right? Who's had couscous here before, right? Awesome. Sort of the same idea, right? Little grain, puffs up when it cooks. Great sponge, right? It takes on flavors really well. So what we're gonna do is, anytime you make something like this, whether it's a polenta, a rice, anything like that, always let the water come up to a boil, or the liquid come up to a boil. That way it prevents any lumps, and it cooks evenly, you understand? So I'm gonna let that come up to a boil, but in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work a little bit with some vegetables, all right? Who likes cauliflower? Awesome. It's great raw, and it's also great caramelized. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of olive oil, and you guys at home should have a couple different kinds of olive oil. You should have a cooking olive oil like this one, which is like a canola blend, you know, like 80-20 canola. And then you should have a nice extra virgin olive oil that you can sort of make dressings with, right? Something that has more perfume, more fragrant, right? So I'm adding it to some of that canola oil, some salt, and we're just gonna let it caramelize and do its thing, all right? So in the interim, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a quick little vinaigrette, okay? So right here, I have something called chia seeds. This stuff's amazing. If you've never had chia seeds, it's an ancient Mexican or Aztec spice that they use, very similar to poppy seed. If you never had, they make a lot of smoothies with it nowadays. It's become very popular. Doesn't have a lot of inherent flavor, but I like it because it's a textural a textural thing. So when you taste it, like kind of pops in your mouth, and it's really neat. It's called chia seeds, right? So what I'm gonna do, these have been toasted. I'm gonna just put them inside this little recipiente or bowl. Bobby, that was Spanish. I'm gonna put a little bit of lime juice. I gotta hook up my boy over there. A little bit of lime juice, a little bit of olive oil. And the idea, guys, when you make dressings at home, 2 to 1 acid, right? So 2 parts olive oil to 1 part acid, whether it's vinegar, lime juice, citrus. Always remember that. So it's real simple kind of formula. A little bit of orange juice. I got some salt. And then what we're gonna do is just make an emulsification, right? And if you guys are cooking this at home or making this at home, you can put all these ingredients in a mason jar and just shake it. Who's made salad dressings like that? Old school, right? Put everything in a little jar, right? And it's awesome. It stays good like that, and you can kind of, mix it up and emulsify it all over again, all right? All right, so we got a little dressing here, a little chia seed dressing, okay? All right, so now that we have that, I'm gonna put a little bit of jalapeno. Okay, this is jalapeno. So there's something called a Scoville meter. Do any young people know what the Scoville meter is? It's what determines spice level in chilies, right? So the Scoville meter will tell you how many parts per capsicum a vegetable has or a pepper has, right? So a jalapeno is about 90,000 Scoville meter. So it's fairly hot. But a chili habanero, if you guys have ever seen the habanero, let's say it with me, habanero. The H is silent. It's not habanero. Habanero, right? So that an habanero is 300,000. So we're talking 3 times hotter than a jalapeno, just to put it in perspective. There's another kind of chili called the ghost pepper, which is 1,000,000. Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. That's 1,000,000, so that's 3 times hotter than a habanero. You taste that stuff and your lips just go poof, because it's so spicy. And when you're talking about cooking and food, it's all about balance. So I'm putting in some of that jalapeno for a little kick. If you don't want it too spicy, you could take the seeds and the ribs out, and that sort of mellows it out. Everybody following me with that? Cool. All right, so we got that working. We got our dressing done. Let's start to kind of put together some of the vegetables that's going to go inside of our salad here, okay? So you can do whatever you like. You can do some green beans. You can do we're going to do cauliflower. I have some sugar snaps. We're going to blanch them really quickly in the same water that I'm doing my quinoa in, right? So now I'm kind of making like this faux stock, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do something called blanching. We're just going to let it do its thing really quickly. And as that cooks, what we're going to do is figure out everything else we have here, right? So we're going to start to combine all these wonderful ingredients. So I have pomegranates, right? Great for you. Tons of antioxidants. We'll put some beautiful pomegranate there. I have some cilantro leaves. Who likes cilantro? Some people that don't like it, you know what they say? It tastes like soap. You ever heard that? Like, oh man, that's soapy. I'm like, okay. But cilantro is awesome. And one thing that I suggest, never throw out the stems, guys. These have so much flavor. Full of that herbaceous punch that you really love, right? All right, so we're gonna do a couple leaves. I like to do a lot of herbs in my salads. Like I put basil, I'll rip mint, cilantro, all those wonderful things I put in my salads. Because it kind of breaks it up, Who needs to have just straight up, salad greens. All right, so a good amount of that. All right, now that I have all my veggies done, I'm gonna take them out. And I don't like to necessarily shock them because I like the fact that they're still raw and warm. So I'm gonna take them out over here like that. All right, and you see I haven't really messed with my cauliflower too much because a lot of times at home, people like to move their food too much. You gotta let the pan do its job, okay? Get good quality pans, at home. When you guys go shopping and do all that, get good quality stuff. You can get the Aarón Sanchez line, available at Target.com, which is awesome. Or you can get the Bobby Flay line, available at Kohl's. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got it all. Don't sleep. We got kids to feed, right, Bobby? We got kids to feed, baby. All right, so here we go. So I got my veggies out. And the whole idea with the with the vegetables is cut them in bite-sized pieces, right, guys? So you want everything to sort of kind of be uniform. So I'm going to take some of those green beans, cut them really quick on the bias, some of them sugar snaps. All right? How many kids are left-handed here? Are you guys lefties? You're a lefty, ma'am? No lefties? A couple lefties? There you go. It's kind of a challenge when you work in kitchens because the majority of people are righties. So if I'm working next to somebody that's right-handed, I keep pushing them, right? Because they're using their right hand. So they always have to put me on the other side of the kitchen when I work. All right? So we have some green beans.
I just want to say I have no association with Aarón Sanchez.
Really, Bobby? We've known each other a long time. Come on. I went to your wedding. Come on, dude. You forgot that one? All right. All right. So we have some of those green beans, some of those sugar snaps, just breaking them down ever so slightly. All right. I got some tomato. I'm going to take some of this beautiful cauliflower that's been caramelized. Look how gorgeous that is, guys. Cool, right? No big deal. I didn't do anything that was very tricky, right? So I'll add some of that some of the cauliflower inside of there. To this, I'm going to take, where's my quinoa? Now it's boiling-ish. I'll add this. And again, I'm eyeballing it just because I can, but at home, please measure it. All right? So look. So you got to do is stir it, heat it up, and then move it around. And then you can cover it, but don't mess with it, all right? I learned a really cool trick from an old señora, a grandma in Puerto Rico. She says, what? You know how you measure rice? You know, the rice to water ratio? She goes, you stir it, and when the spoon stands up, you know you're good to go. Isn't that a cool way of thinking? See, only grandmothers do stuff like that. My grandmother used to make homemade chorizo, right? Sausage. And then what she used to do is she knew exactly the ratio of chorizo per 2 eggs. So she would take a little packages, roll it in plastic, and then put it in a Coca-Cola box in the freezer. And every time she wanted chorizo and eggs, she'd take out a little package, defrost it, and she knew exactly how much to put in. That's how grandmas think. That's why they're the best. And that's why you should always call your grandma. And go and visit her, kids. Because grandmas love kids. All right? They love to see you. So don't be like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go to grandma's house. Like, she's going to, like, pinch my cheeks. And she's going to give me, like, a pack of underwear. Like, I don't want to go to grandma's house. Trust me. Got to go. Because grandmas are cool. All right? So now we have that. We got our green beans. We got our salad. I'm going to give it a little toss. So basically the idea is this, guys. I have all the veggies. I have this wonderful cilantro. I'm going to add a little bit of red onion as well. And the rule is red onion raw, white or Spanish onion cooked, usually the way it should be, or pickled. All right? What I'm actually going to do is add more veggies. Obviously, because of time permitting, we're not going to be able to necessarily get to the quinoa, but you get it. 20 minutes cooked. Ma'am, are you tired? Are you sleepy? You need some coffee? I'm pretty entertaining. I mean, I usually yawn when Bobby demos, but you don't have to yawn for me, all right? Come on. Not necessary. All right, so you guys get the idea. 20 minutes, this cooks, puffs up, you strain it, you add it to our salad. No big deal. You can add chicken to this. You can add many different things, right? So what I'm gonna do is bump it up, and that's really the deal. All right, y'all? Really appreciate it. I hope y'all having a good time. I'm gonna come back a little bit later on. I think around 12-something-ish. Y'all hang tight. My man Bobby Flay is gonna come up here. Who's looking forward to seeing Bobby? Let me tell you, you haven't met a bigger heart than him. Oh, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. You guys get the idea. A little bit of that dressing, the chia seed dressing. When that cooks, cool it down, add it to this. You're all good, okay, guys? Thank y'all so much. So I guess I have more time? Okay, apparently I have more time. Awesome. You remember that one, bro. I remember Bobby. I was at your wedding. People don't realize that Bobby can dance, man. And he can play basketball. He's no joke. Don't sleep on the technique, as they say. All right? Real quick, we'll do a quick marinade. I like chicken. I like, sort of thighs. Always use thigh meat. best, more moisture, awesome. What I like to do is put a little olive oil, and then I season, all right? The reason being is this. If you ever put seasoning on a steak, how much time I got left? 5? 10 minutes? All right, cool. I don't want to cut into Bobby's time because he gets very upset. All right? So, huh? Really? They couldn't have put any mariachi music on for me. I mean, I got like Bismarck here or whatever this is. All right. So anyway, so put your chicken inside. If I can get some tongs, guys, somebody, some tongs. Put some olive oil. If you ever season a steak and you put season on, what happens? The seasoning falls off, right? And you put olive oil, it will adhere. So always put a little bit of olive oil, and then always take your steak or your protein out. Thank you, ma'am. And the idea being is this. You're taking this protein from a 40-degree refrigerator. Hopefully your fridge is 40 degrees. And then if you want a medium rare steak, what's gonna happen to the inside of that steak? If you pull it right from the fridge, the inside's gonna be cold, right? So let your steak come up to room temperature. Always let that happen. Then you add your seasoning, then you cook it, all right? And trust me, it's gonna help you out in the long run. So you can put whatever seasoning you want. I preferably like the Bobby Flay chicken rub, the 16 herb chicken rub. It's available at Bobby's restaurants, all right? At Kohl's too, I think. So anyway, but you can put whatever seasoning you like on that. I got salt, so that's awesome. And then what we're gonna do is, I got my naked chicken here, my chicken's naked. Let's put that right on top. I got my boneless thighs, and let it do its thing. No big deal, you guys get the idea, right? Cook it, about 10 minutes on each side till it's firm, slice it up, and you have it right here, okay? So no big deal, you could do this with fish, chicken. This is a great place to put leftovers. So if you guys have like a rotisserie chicken at home, or you bake the chicken and you have some left over, shred that meat, put it in here. You have a beautiful salad to feed your kids next day, and it's healthy. It's beautifully redolent with vegetables and chilies and wonderful acidic vinaigrette. Like, that's what you want, all right? So we're gonna cook that. You guys get the idea. Once that's cooked, we're gonna add it to our beautiful vegetables, mix it up, and we're good to go, all right? Thank y'all so much. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll stand right over here. I take free hugs. I'm not like Sonny who charges for them. And anything else y'all need. Thank y'all so much. I'll be around later on. Hasta luego. Te quiero mucho.